Hi, welcome back to Poltergeist Board Games. Today, I'm happy to have Stephen Radzikowski, who is, I hope I got your name right.
You did.
Okay, good. And he is a game designer and artist, and he is the owner of Gudkarma Games, and he has a game out right now that is called, I'm going to try to do this. Hopefully it doesn't get
Oh, green screened.
yeah. So it's Through Hell and Back. It's hard to see. I keep losing it.
Yeah.
Game where you fly missions, and it's a lot of fun. You have a lot of missions that you do, and he's got some great artwork for it. And then he also has for his upcoming game called Pacific Flyboys. There's the box. That's perfect. And he's also got these mats, these game mats.
Oh yeah. How
And
are they?
he was nice enough to send these to me. But this is the Wildcat one. God, I hate this stupid green screen
Green
thing.
screen? Yeah,
It's because of my background.
it's all right.
And here's the Zero one. If I can get it. Ugh. They're really nice. And and his game Through Hell and Back is a lot of fun. And the missions, don't take too long. He's got great artwork on the cards, and the actual game board is really nice and well done. So thank you for joining. I know it's 4 p.m. in Japan, and it's actually midnight here in California.
Right.
But this is a time we could get together. So, all right, I'll just jump into this is 10 questions with Stephen Radzikowski. So, question one, what led you to designing games?
Yeah, that's a hard question. So I actually thought, let me think about that be, before I I had a couple of hours the other day. And I don't know if this is an interesting story, but when I was a kid, I had like a play set. It was the Guns of Navarone play set.
Oh, I had that.
Oh, you remember that, like
Yeah.
gray
Yeah.
mountain, and it had like the yellow elevator on a string that you pull.
Yeah.
I was completely fascinated with that mountain cutout.
Mhm.
And it was only through your question that I realized I was trying to trace back like the game design. So what had happened was I had that play set, and something about that cutaway uh like sparked this imagination in me. And all through grade school in the 70s, I was drawing these fortresses and space, like moon bases, and all from like the side view. I mean, I use the term draw very loosely, but I was so into that sort of thing. And then in my mind, I would put all of the details into that drawing. Like, this is where they would eat. This is how many chairs. This is where they would sleep. And that stuck in my head, I think, for a long time. And then recently, I started doing art and was doing a lot of like in the early 2000s. I was doing a lot of graphics for World War II era planes and gauges and cockpits, and I had it in the back of my mind to do a game. It was through high school. I did like Dungeons and Dragons and played what's the word? What was that game? Ambush. I think it was
Oh,
Ambush.
Ambush. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
Precursor to combat.
my library in high school had a copy of Computer Ambush by SSI, I think, Strategic Simulations Incorporated or something, for the Apple II, like the Apple IIe or something like that. It was just a green monochrome screen. And Risk and Axis and Allies. And I was doing all of those games, and then I was making maps and uh, you know, I forget what game that was for. So it was always kind of there. But then after the 80s, I got involved in music and martial arts, and I kind of stopped gaming. And then recently, like a year ago, almost a year ago, almost like to the month or so, I decided, you know what? There's a game I want to play, but I don't see the game, right? And this is such a well-worn story with a lot of people, right? I want to play something, but I can't find it. Like I can't find what I want to play. So I just started to do the through hell and back, and it kind of grew. It just sort of bubbled up, and I had a whole bunch of ideas, and yeah. So I guess that's the long story. That's how I got started. I was always doing design work, but like artistically, and that's why you see through Hallenbach is so visually orientated. I mean,
Yeah.
even the cards. I'm trying to think like like when like there's an oil leak. Even on the card, there's the oil gauge, and I even have a little like oil dripping on the card. I have to. That's how I work. So yeah, so most of that was but I really go back to that Guns and Navarone playset, man. I
I
that
played with
thing,
that thing
yeah,
for
that
hours.
wasn't that a cool set, and it had
But
the
the
Higgins
huge,
boats,
it had the
right?
huge guns on the
Yeah,
front side,
and it
and the
had the
back side.
plastic. There was like a beach head or something, or like a vinyl mat or something. No, and then they had the Higgins boats and the
Oh yeah, yeah,
it had like a little assault. Oh, that was an
yeah.
amazing thing. I think that really,
I'll find a picture of it and I'll put it in this
yeah,
video. So
you should. Yeah, it was it's such a great set. And I think as a kid, that like it was just that cutaway. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It was the cutaway really intrigued me. Yeah. But anyway, I think that's the answer to like what led me into yeah. So yeah, that guess that's the answer. Yeah.
uh, question two: what is your process for designing games?
My process for designing games is like anything else. It's very spontaneous.
Yeah,
Uh, so yeah, I used to write a lot of poetry and music, and it was always just whatever kind of comes to me at at that time. So the spontaneity of things is kind of important to me, and sometimes it'll be through playing something, or like testing something, and then sometimes it'll just be uh, looking through a book and just seeing a picture, and then sometimes it's while I'm doing some kind of artwork, I'll just get I'll just get inspired from something I'm drawing, and then I'll realize, oh, it would be cool if blah blah blah. Or sometimes I'll be watching a movie, even,
yeah,
and I'll say, oh, you know what, that would be kind of a cool aspect to be in a game. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a game designer. I mean, I wouldn't. I'm that kind of person that has trouble with the label. Uh, I've been doing martial arts for 33 years or 34 years, and I still don't consider myself a martial artist. Like I have troubles. I don't know if I'm designing games so much as just putting things together, in some cohesive manner that it resembles a game. Uh, you know, so it's kind of haphazard how I do it. I try one thing I do try not to do, and it is probably not something that everybody wants to hear, but I try not to get too bogged down in minutia or detail or crunchy levels of war game design. So
Mm,
you'll see like Through Hell and Back is gives you the feeling of what you're doing in a bomber, but there's not a lot of it's not I'm not the kind of person who has the patience for that. So then that shows up in my designs. So it's yeah, it's a very, I guess, messy sort of process where I'm doing, I just so for example, how I did Through Hell and Back was art was the first thing. It was art. Well, kind of like I had the idea, like, you know what? The bomber, the interceptors for the that come in for the bomber, they should be beautiful, like full color artwork planes. None of these silly little, I mean, I'm 53 years old. I can't see these things that are this big, like the 1 inch or the 0.75 inch chits and stuff like that. And to me, the imagination is helped a little bit when you have some, you know, nice visuals. So
yeah,
when I started Through Hell and Back, that was the very first thing was I'm gonna make the interceptor cards. And then I made I made a couple of Focke Wolves and I made a couple of P-47 Thunderbolts. And then I was play testing the game with really nice looking intercept cards, and the bomber was just like a stick drawing I did with like a pen. It was it was it was a little strange. So yeah, I'm like a little I don't know what the word is. I go kind of go whatever strikes me, I will stop what I'm doing. If that spark is big enough, I will stop what I'm doing and move to the other thing. I guess it's like an ADHD
yeah.
flow.
It could be.
Yeah. That's like a hard question. Like it's not methodical really.
Well,
I
everyone's got their own, system. Like Thomas Van Hare, he
Hmm,
he writes the history first,
right,
so he concentrates on that, and then
right.
he goes and he works in the game,
Yeah.
so
And that shows in his wonderful games,
yeah.
the history, his flavor of history really shows through. Yeah, that is not in my it's just not in in my game. I try to uh
Yeah, but you take on a different, I
right.
mean, yours is more beautifully portrayed as far as, like, I mean, your art,
Hmm.
it really your art speaks to, the game. Like, I mean, it's really good.
I do, I do a little research, like, okay, what things can happen in the B-24. It's not totally fantastical, obviously. And then, even the gauges, I was meticulously looking at the gauges. So the gauges you see on the cards are, not 100% accurate, but they're very accurately portrayed, as much as I could, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I only have the patience for so much detail like that. Like and like I said, I'm not out to make historical simulations. I guess it's more like I don't know, sort of a mix, of things.
All right. Uh, what is your favorite game mechanic?
Yeah, that's that's a hard question to answer. So I'm
Yeah.
not a prolific gamer. Um, the the thing I enjoy about gaming is so I don't know how to say this mechanically, but you should be kind of lost in the game. So the mechanic of drawing the player into the world of the game,
Mhm.
I think that's important for me. So everybody plays games for different reasons. like we talked about Thomas Van Hare's games. Those games are really great for learning history. And through that, you lose yourself in the game. But I wouldn't call his games like kind of escapist in a way, like where you want to sort of lose yourself, like a movie or something like that, that you generally like entertainment like that. Well, I think that mechanic is important in the game. I don't even know what that would be called, but just player immersion is important. And then I love dice. Like I love
You,
love dice.
you played Axis and Allies, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you remember when you'd get like, you'd have a stack of chips, on the German border, and you would just like, all right, I'm taking my Russians against your
Right,
Germans, and we're gonna throw 20 dice each, and
right. You got that
you know,
huge, got those huge rolls. Yeah.
yeah, my dad, he would be crazy. He'd, shake the dice, and he'd be saying all these things, and then he'd throw the dice in, they'd be bouncing out of the box and going all over the place. And
Uh,
uh,
that's why you see through Hellenbach is a huge amount of dice. It's a little overwhelming.
I even had to buy those itty bitty dice for the mark, they use as markers.
Oh yeah. Well, those 8 millimeter dice are perfect, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect size. So I did learn my lesson with that. It's a little too much, component wise, but yeah, I love dice. Uh, and like I said, some some artwork that is tied into the game, not just thrown on the card or whatever or the board for no reason, but artwork that's part of the game. I know those aren't necessarily mechanics, but I do like the mechanic of uh what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the name.
Worker placement,
Not
worker
worker
placement.
placement, but dice. What's the word that what the dice matching or what can't think of the word. Like you do when you do the bombing in through hell and back, where you do the
Yeah, yeah.
interceptors, where you match the dice. Like I like that. I like those kind of mechanics. I also like the I'm a sucker for push your luck mechanics. Like I'm a sucker for that. Uh, those kind of those things I have fun uh, doing, I guess.
All right. Um, let's see. Tell us some artwork we might recognize from other games that you've worked on.
Well,
You did this War Thunder, right?
I did some skins for War Thunder that they picked up. Three, I think, skins. I don't know. I think they picked up three, and I think they used one or two. I don't honestly don't remember. I did recently check. The one is still in the game. I didn't check the other one, but my my Hellcat skin is in the game still. Would like to get paid for that. That's a whole other story. But you know, it's been years. I wonder what's going on. But way back in the day, there was the late Don Hill Jr. He used to Don Hill Jr. used to make Don Hill Sr. Sorry, he used to make games for the Apple before OS 10 came out. He used to make some flight simulator games called Skyfighters 1945. I used to make skins for that, and there was a short-lived project that I cannot recall the name. It was another World War II. It was another World War II game. I kind of got involved making some stuff. This is like early 2000s, 4 or 5, or something along those lines. Uh, what else? Trying to think. Oh, I did last year. I did a Civil War board for what's the name of it? It's actually a nice little game. It was a free print and play. Um, oh, I'm drawing a blank on the title. Mm, yeah, but that's it. And then my games. Uh, I haven't really marketed myself to other people. Mostly I'm just doing stuff for myself these days.
Okay, what is your creative process for your artwork?
Yeah, going back to that spontaneity thing, uh it's just like, oh, wouldn't it be cool, in the new game I'm doing, the Pacific Flyboys, I'm just doing the planes, and then I'm like, oh, you know what, a tank would be kind of cool, like a little like amphibious invasion, and all of a sudden I'm drawing amphibious tanks. uh, and I'm not using them in the game yet, but I'm spending a whole day, you know, drawing out, finishing out. It's hard. It's hard to stop. It's a little fun to make those. It's like model building electronically.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of feeling. Uh,
So now you
but
gotta work them in
yeah,
the game.
yeah. Oh, it'll definitely be in the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So I just sometimes I just say, okay, I need to get, like I need to get this plane in the game. And then I'll just, I sit down and do it. And basically how I do the art is probably how anyone else who's doing the aviation art does. You start doing a little research, figuring out the frame and where the panels and rivets are going to go. And then laying down the base coat, and then working on all the weathering and stuff like that. And
Is it kind of like layering stuff?
yeah, it's layering. I think Ben Rawlings talked about it uh, with you, I think, right?
Yeah, I
A while
interviewed
back.
him. Yeah.
Yeah. So I recently stopped using Photoshop and I started using the Affinity software, and that's been a little bit of a headache trying to relearn something you've been doing for like 20 something years on another on
Mhm.
a, almost 30 years, I guess, on Photoshop. It's like
Oh,
it's crazy. And then you're starting to use something else that's a little different. That's it. If you ever want a headache, that'll give it to you. Yes, I just do that. It's like a lot of layering. It's a lot of just like painting. You don't put down the heavy thing. You just do subtle about on top of subtlety on top of subtlety, and then that creates something not so subtle. Uh,
hmm. Yeah,
I
I'm interested on how you
so
guys
I'll
do that stuff because
mm,
it's
so
very.
I'll do like a reference book or something. Like this is one of the reference books in Japan, like the Japanese naval, Japanese Navy books, and so I'll use these to help figure out markings and stuff like that. Obviously, the normal kind of stuff, having all of those. I got way too many of these kind of books that a sane person should have, you know. What was I going to say? And then just, and then, I just do it and until it's done, and then, like I said, sometimes I'll just mean to work on that, and I'll just say, hey, you know what? What would be really cool is if I was a tank, and I'll start, like I said, it's very spontaneous, the way I approach. Yeah, I think I do it with everything. I do the same thing. I think I told you I own a pizzeria. I make pizza, and I generally don't plan what I'm going to make that day. I'm seeing a trend in my whole life. You know, I'll go in like I did have a plan today. I know I'm going to make a certain type of pizza, which is tomatoes, mozzarella cheese, hot dogs, corn, and mayo. Japanese people love.
Wait.
Okay, yeah.
What? What?
Let's digress a moment. So
What? Hot dogs and corn and
yeah,
mayo.
so chopped up hot dogs, chopped up wieners,
Yeah.
corn, off the cob, kernels,
Yeah.
corn, and mayo. Okay, listen. Before I came to Japan, I thought that was absolutely atrocious. I thought, who the hell puts, well, first, even mayo. I really wasn't. I'm like, what? But at my pizzeria, I serve a couple of pizzas with mayonnaise. It's actually like I'll make a ham and cheese pizza. I put down mayo, some herbs, cheddar cheese, and ham. And it's like it tastes like a hot ham sandwich. It tastes like a ham sandwich. The corn and the wiener and the mayo, like hot dogs are good. Corn on the cob is good.
Mayo's good.
Right, right. If you go to a barbecue, you eat corn on the cob and hot dogs.
Yeah. It's
And
almost kind of,
and
elote. Elote is,
yeah,
has mayo on the
right,
corn.
right, right. Same
Um,
thing.
yeah.
And on a pizza, so kids really like it here. Well, actually, adults like it. And I made it for Kids Day last year. I said, I'm gonna make I'm never gonna make that. And then I'm like, let me do it one day. I got all these. I was making corn soup over the winter, and I had all this extra corn. So I'm like, oh, let me make a. It's good, actually. It's really
I'll
it's
bet it is, but
it's good. It's
it sounds
right.
gross.
It
But
does. I
I'm
agree
sure
with
it's
you
good.
100%. If you come to Japan, I'll make you a nice pie. You can try a slice of that. Uh, I think you'll enjoy.
All right. I got 9 minutes left.
All right.
So, what's next in your game design? What do you have? Do you have anything after Pacific Flyboys?
Yeah. Well, I'm sort of working on other things, tiny bit. There's quite a bit of stuff I still want to do for the Through Hell and Back game system. Next
Like
is going to
expansions
be
and stuff?
I have the Ploisty Romanian oil missions that I've kind of started. Some new mechanics that involve like piloting a little bit, like taking different courses, which is not. I don't even think the other bomber games have that, right? Like the other, I don't know, but
Target
so I have
30.
I have like a little interesting system I was working on back before Christmas, and the map I made a map of one of the oil refineries that I didn't finish yet. So I'm just kind of slowly taking my time with that. So I got stuff coming out for that.
Okay.
I'm still working on Pacific Flyboys. I also,
Which is,
uh,
it's carrier battles, right?
yeah, Pacific Flyboys. I told you, and I was doing tanks and amphibious assaults, and
Yeah.
I thought, oh, like Battle of Port Moresby or something, or like I don't know, it's like something else might be interesting. So the scope of that might change. And then I have on war game related, I had a samurai, some kind of like a samurai, um, well, I had like a sword battle game that I kind of got down towards the end with, but kind of dropped and had the idea for Pacific Flyboys. So let me get that down. Then I have the other RPG game that deals with that's Steel Wings Iron Heart that I have for the Pacific Theater. And then I have a and then I have a Western themed like revenge game that's a little bit RPG type game that I am toying with a little bit.
Like Western is like the old Wild
Like
West.
Old West, yeah, like
Okay.
the Old West, but like just
Like
uh,
Tombstone kind of
yeah, yeah, but a little bit I don't know how to describe it. So
gunslinger.
yeah, like a gunslinger meets light magic or
Oh,
technology. So I guess maybe steampunky gunslinger or something.
well, that sounds
I
cool.
have a bunch of stuff. Yeah, it sounds good to me, but I haven't got all the pieces together yet.
All right. Let's see. What's your next or what is your goal in this hobby?
My goal is my first goal is to do what I'm enjoying doing. That's the first goal. And the second goal is I want people to enjoy what I'm creating. I want people to enjoy it and have fun. That's the second goal. Those are really my only two goals is for myself to enjoy and for other people to also enjoy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then where do you see yourself in 5 years in this hobby? I know it's kind of a weird question, but
Well, where do I see myself in 5 years? Well, I'd like to
do you see
finish.
yourself, being published by like a major publisher, like a Compass Games or something?
So I don't have ambitions to get published from by somebody. I don't have any ambitions, and if that happens, that would be nice. It would put my game into the hands of more people.
Mhm.
Uh, in 5 years, hopefully a little thinner would be nice. I'd like to be thinner and have more experience to be making like better, learning from the previous games. So in 5 years, I'd want to be like wiser and putting out some better games. And I guess that I guess that's it really. Hopefully finishing all of the I I have so many ideas for just through hell and back. I need to finish those. I need to finish those. So hopefully in 5 years I've kind of finished making content for through hell and back.
Well,
Because it's only been
I ordered the expansion and the other thing. I can't remember.
the B-17 expansion and the
Yeah,
plane.
yeah. In the other thing, but they haven't shipped yet because they
I think you'll really like the B-17 expansion. Actually, the board looks really nice, and
yeah,
you got like a bunch of uh, missions and stuff. And that's the other thing is that I know you don't have a lot of time, but I was working on Pacific Flyboys, and then suddenly I'm like, oh, you know what? I really need to do a plane expansion for Through Hell and Back, and then I just sat down for a couple of days and I just started banging out the art for the cards and stuff, and then that's what happened with the B-17 expansion.
mm,
I was just sitting there and I was like, oh, I started the B-17. I never finished it. And then as soon as I put like the metal skin on it, and I was like, oh, this looks pretty cool. Let me throw it on the board. Oh yeah. And then I got all jazzed up for it. And then,
yeah,
that's what happens. I keep kind of distracting myself with this game. But yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
yeah.
It was
I thank
nice.
you for coming
The
on,
first time we had a chance to like
Brett.
video chat. Yeah.
Yeah, message. But I thank you for your time, and wish you much success, and
Thank you.
I'll keep supporting you,
Yeah.
in
I'll
your.
be supporting you too, my friend.
Thank
I
you.
think what you're doing is great, and I'm curious where you see yourself in 5 years with your endeavors.
Well, my wife would see me with less games, um, but I would like this channel to expand more, and have I'd like to have more fun with it, and just see where that goes. But I enjoy gaming and putting out content, and I love talking to you guys because every time I talk to a new designer or new artist, it's just neat to hear your guys's style and
Right.
how you go about your processes.
Yeah, I think your channel is important. I think especially your highlighting like designers or people who are making games and stuff like that. It's really good for other not just other designers to listen to designers, because I'm always interested in what other designers have to say, but even non-designers who might get inspired to do something or get
Yeah.
involved.
All right. I gotta stop here,
All
but
right.
I thank you again for your time.
Thank you
And
very much.
I will talk to you on Messenger probably.
Yeah.
All
Take
right.
care, Scott. Have a
All
good
right.
day.
You have a good one too. Take care.
Thank you for watching. Take care.